Every single day, people take unwanted or unused items to thrift and antique stores across the country. But as the saying goes, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and we're here to prove it. Identify valuable things before you throw them away. Join us as we show and tell of treasures found and sold by a full-time reseller with the hopes of helping you find some treasures of your own. Welcome to the What's Sold podcast.
Welcome back to the What's Sold podcast. We have had technical difficulties, but we are with it. We're on episode 100. It's a huge episode for us,
Failure
Matt.
to launch this morning
yes,
a little
I am
bit.
here with my good friend Matt. Some of you know him as Rusty, the reseller. I know him by his El Luchador name that I have been sworn to secrecy about.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, when he's not here, he's traveling the circuit, the Southwest and Mexico circuit.
Yeah, the secret is that I carry weapons on my person. I'm not supposed to, but I like to get in real close.
Oh yeah.
And then I, so that the fans don't see what I'm doing, and all of a sudden, I'm in the lead somehow. What happened?
Yeah, how do you do it? Well, so as I mentioned at the beginning, this is our take 2, by the way, because we had some technical difficulties, but we're back. We are very excited to bring to you episode 100, and this is a really weird, strange, beautiful episode in context because we have been sort of thinking about for the last, I don't even know, 10 episodes about doing something slightly differently. When we started this, as it's been well documented on this show, Matt and I are friends. We had this idea, hey, let's start a podcast. I've been podcasting for years upon years. I've executive produced a bunch of different podcasts. But when
this has been the
this,
worst one he's ever done.
No, this is actually the most fun. By far the most fun I ever work on. I love doing this show. But basically, it has been Matt bootstrapping this whole thing. And, it's hard to explain to people, but anybody that's listening has a small business, you know that there's certain things that you spend money on, there's certain things that you don't. We threw a lot of spaghetti at the wall to see what would stick over the year. And what we've realized is that, ironically, the majority of our listeners are actually on YouTube. I don't think that podcasting actually lends itself to a great medium of what this topic is. Doesn't mean that people don't listen. We have lots of dedicated listeners on our podcast, but we have more, ironically, on YouTube, which I'm like, I don't get it, but I'm not going to argue with the podcast guys.
And more engagement, I would say, as well. We do this because we want to educate and we want to reach as many people as possible. The more people we reach, the more people who potentially can benefit from this information. And if we can cultivate some sort of a dialogue and some participation, then we learn from you, and then everyone does better. And to give you an idea, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is a fun little story. I started back doing Rusty videos last week. I had a little bit of a summer hiatus, not intentionally, but every week it was like, okay, by the end of the week, well, I didn't get one done this week, maybe next week. And then every week was like that. But so for those of you who are not aware, there are certain thresholds with YouTube where if you want to be a content creator and you want eventually to be able to earn some income or some revenue from the work that you put into it, which most people are looking for that. Now, this younger generation are all about being, YouTube famous, right? So it's more about people knowing me, but like a lot of people want something for their time. One of the thresholds for becoming monetized or being able to earn revenue is you have to have a certain amount of hours of your content having been viewed. It's different for short videos, like a minute or less, and then long, full form videos. But for long form videos, you have to have 4,000 hours of your content has to have been viewed before you'll qualify, and that's only one of the qualifications. You also have to have at least 1,000 subscribers. That took me about 11 months to achieve, doing consistent videos for an entire year. It took me almost another year before I actually made more than 20 or 30 bucks in a month.
Yeah.
But to put that in perspective, I did a video last week on jewelry inspection, fine jewelry, which happens to be the particular niche that, for whatever reason, YouTube really wants to promote my videos about that particular category. Then 48 hours, that video had over 1,000 views. It actually had more than 1,000 views, but there were 1,000, it's like 5,000 views, and 1,000 hours had been viewed. just from that one video. So again, to get monetized for all of your content, you have to achieve 4,000 hours. I'm at the point now where I can put up in a video, and in 48 hours, I've already hit 25% of that threshold now just from a single video. So that gives you an idea. When we put out one of these podcasts, we got about 100 downloads. 100 downloads.
Which in the podcast world,
which is good.
That is like
which is
successful.
But it is good. But that doesn't translate to compensating us for our time, so that we can then take time away from our other jobs to put this stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's not all about money. We like this kind of thing, but that just gives you an idea. There's a huge presence on YouTube, and there's crossover between people. And if a person listens to the podcast and watches videos, we've found that they were more likely to go watch the video because there's that visual element more so than the podcast. Would you agree with that?
Oh, totally. And it's funny. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and people come to me, I would bet you at least 3 times a week, people come to me with a podcast, pitching a podcast idea. And I have formulated an answer. And it basically goes like this.
No is the answer.
No. I say, do you have a clear understanding of who you're trying to reach? If they can't tell me exactly who they're trying to reach, then I say, okay, it's off the table. We're not even going to talk about it, because you've got to understand who your audience is going to be. And sometimes when they tell me, oh, it's going to be this, I'm like, oh, so you're saying that you're going to be a general show and everyone's going to want to tune in because you're so captivating. Well, there are 7.5, 8 million podcasts out there with lots of captivating people. You have to be targeting your audience. The second thing is I ask them, do you have any idea how much a podcast costs to operate?
Yeah.
And the third thing I say is, do you know how many people have to listen in order to you to make even break-even money? And it's so much more. And I would bet you that 95% of the time people go, oh, okay. And then, look, hey, if you want to just throw up a podcast because you love the idea and it's fun to talk and it's like a hobby, go for it. That's awesome. But Matt and I we own businesses. We're trying to pay people. We've got things that we've got to do. So, like in everything we've done in this show, I think it fits very perfectly. And again, this didn't just come out of left field. We've been talking about this for a long time. But everything we do is with the eye on how can we make it better, and ultimately how can we monetize it. And what we found out is that YouTube's just better. So we're not going to stop doing the podcast. We're going to meet and talk every week. It might look slightly different. It might sound slightly different because I'm not going to I spend a lot of time editing to make it sound auditorially perfect. No pops, no glitz, none of that. You might hear a little bit of that in the podcast because I'm probably just going to be doing some briefer editing, but I do think that we're going to stick with the basic idea. There might be some slight changes within the concept itself, but there will be more of a focus on showing you stuff. Matt's journey's out there. We're going to show you some shorter videos. So I'm pretty excited about where this is going.
Yeah, one slight change as well is that we will, instead of it being me, we will get a very attractive 22, 23-year-old female. I'll write the script out, but now just imagine me, but just enjoy.
We're going to hire a washed-up Wonder Woman.
That's exactly right.
Who couldn't quite make it.
By the way,
she's going to.
The demographic here that I have is about 6 of my friends, a couple of their kids, my mom and dad sometimes, and then single or widowed women between 65 and 85.
Yes.
Is my primary podcasting demographic.
And others. Yeah,
and your brother,
absolutely.
yeah, sure. There's a cute few flyers out there that I may not be aware of, but that's just what it has been.
There are probably more people that are going to go to YouTube to look up how to run a bit, because ultimately this is about a business. So we're going to do something in a little bit in our 100th episode. And by the way, this is not we're going to have 101st and 102nd. It's not, like I said, don't podcast listening audience.
Sit down, stop crying. It's going to be okay.
We will continue to post the podcast. We'll continue to put it up as a podcast, but our focus is going to be more on YouTube until about February when we stop paying for the hosting fees. And that's more behind the scenes, behind the curtain than you really care to know about. But that's basically the idea. We'll make sure we announce all this. So those of you that are listening on the podcast, feel free to come find us on the What's Old podcast on YouTube. It will be the exact same thing, basically the same thing. On YouTube, you can still listen. You can listen in your car, so it's not going to affect really too much, but it is going to affect the workflow for Matt and I, and that's important because we do like doing this, but it is a strain. It's hard to do this. It's hard on Matt financially to just continue to pumping money into something that's not paying back.
Yeah, I had a couple of money trees in the back, and then this year they just there's something going around in the root system. Those puppies died.
Yeah,
and
I saw some wilted leaves, and I was a little worried. Those of you that are watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube, however, tell a friend. Because we've already, I forget what our number is on the What's Sold podcast followers, but I think it's 700-800 now. It's not a small number in particular,
wow.
So it's actually grown, and it grows every week. We get more and more followers. So anyway, spread the word. We're still out there. We're still doing it, but we just wanted to be. I feel like if there's anything we've done on the show is try to be as transparent as possible. I don't. We haven't told you that Matt has never, not one time on this show, worn pants.
Right. It's a need-to-know situation, and you don't need to know.
Doesn't wear pants.
Listen, I feel cramped, and I like to be comfortable when I'm doing the podcast.
I will say, I know we have a little bit of an older, nicer audience, but he does not go commando. So if you need to look that up, what that is, he does at least
as far
have
as
boxers on or shorts. So as far as I know, yeah. I don't really. I ask him not to stand up during the show just simply because I'm not sure my heart could take it. But all right, so I have a fun little exercise I want to do today on this show. As our 100th episode, we're basically almost 2 years into this venture, and I use ChatGPT. I use AI every day. I use it for all sorts of things. I know. I've fully embraced the robots. But in my work, I'm constant. It's crazy how helpful it can be to make things quicker. There's a lot of. I work in the details. I work in the minutia of all this stuff. So when I can find corners to cut, and it removes time, it allows me to do other things that I really want to do, like work on the What's Sold podcast or the What's Sold YouTube channel or whatever. So I went to ChatGPT. Matt and I were talking about. I was like, I kind of am curious if I said to ChatGPT. This is probably 3 weeks ago I did this, but I downloaded a Word doc to see what are the 10 things that every reseller should know. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder if we've covered these. And guess what, Matt?
Wow.
We've covered every one of them.
No kidding.
In detail. Yes. So we are in agreement and lockstep with the robots.
Well, you know how ChatGPT got that information.
They got it from us.
They scoured our podcast to make sure. This is looks like these are the things.
Absolutely. All right, I am going to give. I'm going to give Matt some questions, and Matt.
Oh boy.
Try to be brief, okay? Because we're going to try to keep the show to 40 to 45 minutes.
Sure.
We're already at 12.
Brevity.
We have 10 questions to get through. We don't, Matt. Do I need to
say
not
this
embellish?
To you? Do not embellish.
We don't need you to embellish. We don't need you to recreate the wheel. Don't build a better mousetrap. Just identify.
Give it to you
that
straight.
We've talked about. Give it to us straight. Just straight talk here.
Do
on the
my
show, Matt. All right.
best on
Number
this.
one, and I found this interesting that this was number one by the robots. 10 things anyone wanting to be a reseller should do. Number one, research your market. Do you agree with that as your number one? And what does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, the whole way you make money as a reseller is by selling things to someone else. So since you don't get paid unless there's a transaction that happens, you need to know who you're targeting. Just like you were talking about on the What's Your Podcast, who are you trying to reach? Same thing. Who are your customers? Why would they want your product, whatever it is that you're going to sell? How are you going to find them? How are you going to, put that product in front of them? Are you going to have a store? Are you going to do it online? Yeah, it's absolutely important. That is always in the backdrop. That never goes away. Not only do you need to know that from the beginning, you need to be checking on that throughout the year because the market's changed. And what used to be your customer maybe doesn't want that product anymore. So what do? Oh, your mic went out. I can't hear you.
Like I said, it's just a.
That's okay. You got it.
Here we are. Just 100 episodes in. We're
look at that. Just
bumbling
all of a sudden.
along.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I put it on mute. That's why. So,
Okay.
Question for you, Matt.
Yeah.
How much research did you do before you started being a reseller?
Very little.
You mean you didn't scour like my brother Rick, who was on our 99th episode, Dude's a research maniac. I mean,
Yeah.
I guarantee he spent 1,000 hours researching exactly what you should. Do you regret not doing more research, or do you just like to learn on the fly and
Well,
feel
it's
good
kind
about
of
what
like
you did?
it's kind of like if somebody comes into your house and is going to attack you, and you're backed into a corner, and you've got 4 or 5 things there. Which one do you pick up to use to defend yourself? You don't think about that. It's a scary moment. You've got to figure
Right.
something out. You just grab whatever you can and you go. And that's kind of fair analogy and kind of not. But I didn't approach being a full-time reseller from the perspective of, I wonder if this is an industry I want to get into and research this and that. No, I lost my job at COVID. It was March of 2020. I had 2 small children at home. We're a dual earning income household, and all of a sudden I wasn't earning. And I couldn't go out and look for a job because people aren't going around. Places are closing their doors and firing people. They're not hiring. And I knew how to use eBay because I'd already done it part-time. I'd sell an instrument here or there, something like that. I know what the market did at the time. I knew what the market was like for instruments. Did I know what the market was like for any kind of antique or collectible? No. I got into that, but I just jumped in. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have any capital to speak of. It was just whatever I could pull together, sell it, take that profit, reinvest it, try to pay bills, and move along. I would have done much better from the beginning had I spent 6 months to a year researching that, planning, getting capital. You know what I mean? So, yeah, huge difference. I made it work. Luckily, because I'm a hard worker and I'll stay up all night if I have to, kind of thing. But yeah, definitely do your research. I would have had circumstances been different during the time when I started.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, in business, you often have to, you try to be proactive, but sometimes it's just simply a reactive world. You have to react to the things that are happening around you. You know, Matt and I have talked about it. I started a new business couple months ago because an opportunity came that I was like, oh. And it has just been crazy. It is like I think about just what you're saying. I'm like, in some ways, I'm just handling the hot potato right now, just trying to get it done. Luckily, I learned a lot from running other businesses and doing what I'm doing right now. So I don't feel like I had to start from scratch. But if you are starting from scratch and you do have the time like my brother did, he was getting ready to retire, then take some time, really do your research and figure out what it is you want to do, because you don't want to waste a bunch of time if you can help it. It is absolutely true in everything that we do. All right. Number 2, Matt, are you ready?
Whether I am or not, you're going to ask.
It's coming. Choose a reliable supplier. Now, in reselling, that probably the computer thought about like, hey, you're I don't know, selling whatever. But this kind of, I was like, well, does that make sense? Does that make sense to choose a reliable supplier?
Yes. And I would go a step further and say find multiple suppliers. Because if your supply runs out from the one place, you don't want to be stuck in a bad situation. So if you, again, let's look at the basics of reselling as a part-time or full-time business. You have to get an item somewhere. That's, doing the market research on the place. You have to take it.
Your mic just shut off again.
Oh, okay.
No,
you
now
got me.
it's back.
Once that item has sold, you've got to replenish it with another item to be available to sell, or else your business doesn't continue. So you need to, starting off, like you said, know your market. Who are you selling to and how? Where are you getting your item or items? Multiple places, ideally. And you need to have a plan to continue funneling the product so that when things sell, there's not a lag between that and the next item available. So, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably any business. I mean, never put all your eggs into one basket is really the thing. And sometimes I think people do that because they like the person they're buying from or whatever. But ultimately, you cannot let your entire world be locked up into one thing.
For example, for me, I can source online on eBay or Etsy, online estate sales or auctions, thrift stores, antique stores, pawn shops, estate sales, local estate sales. I can get on Facebook Marketplace. I can go to, I've got 8 or 10 different places that I source from, both locally and online. I do that because hey, we had a hurricane. Half of the places that I sourced from locally were flooded and or destroyed overnight. If you just went to one place, you had a good deal going, and they're destroyed, what do? You've got to have some other things available to you, or else you could get in a tough spot.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Number 3, kind of boring, but very apropos. Understand legal and tax requirements.
Absolutely. So you'll want to make sure you're setting up things so that you can account for your cost of goods, the cost of running your business, and knowing what your tax liability will be every year, because you're running your own business. It's not some other company who's taking this out of your paycheck and going to send you a document at the end of the year. So, I recommend getting some sort of online accounting program to help you, like QuickBooks, something like that. And you would probably do well to contact and speak with an accountant even before you get started, just to tell them, hey, this is what I'm planning on doing. How would we set this up? What would your fees be for this service? That kind of thing. And it will pay for itself to do that. It will save you headache, save you work. They can help you with deductions and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, and there's a lot of good resources out there, but as Matt said, sometimes it's better just to call a professional if you can. I mean, it's going to cost you some money, but it will probably save you a lot of headaches in the long run. All right.
Yeah.
Number 4, set up your sales channels.
Yeah. If you don't have a plan or a path to sell that item, you won't ever get off the ground running. So for me, that sales channel was primarily through an account with an online retailer or multiple retailers, eBay being the primary retailer. Not only do I sell with eBay, but I have more than one store. I have 3 separate stores on eBay that I sell on, which we've discussed in the past why I do that. I had an Etsy account. I still have an Etsy account. I just don't actively sell on there much right now. And I also sell certain types of items locally if I can. Usually that's because of size or weight. So if they're bigger or heavier, more fragile, I try to sell. But you set that up. That also, if you're selling online and you don't have your own website, or even if you have your own website, oftentimes there are costs associated with that, getting a domain, managing the site. With eBay, you pay to list your items, a certain number of cents per item, or you pay a monthly subscription fee. It reduces the amount that you have to pay, but allows you to list more for free, that kind of thing. So there are costs involved, but that's my channel. I like that because eBay has the largest market in the world for antiques, collectibles, the things that I sell. And so instead of opening up a store in my tiny little town of 8,000 people, hoping I can survive off of just whoever walks in the door and buys stuff from me, I can put it out to millions of people and hope that will speed up the sales.
Yeah, and one thing that it also noted, it says optimize listings with strong titles, keywords, and photos, and I found that to be very true. You need to spend some time thinking about how you want to present yourself in whatever you're doing and however where you're selling. If you have a website, I can't tell you how many times I go to these websites, I'm like, I'm not going to buy from these people. This is terrible. It's embarrassingly bad. So, it just, and not to say they're not good, but it is the first. It's the handshake. It's the greeting. It's the hello. So that's important. All right. Number 5, Matt, develop pricing strategies.
Yeah. I mean, depending on what you're selling, it may be very simple. With what I do, I have to research comp sales, comparative sales. So how much has this sold for, this exact item, in the last 90 days? What's the range? Do I need to sell it fast or can I wait? That will determine how I price it as well. And if you're on eBay and you have lots of items for sale, thousands of items like I do, you don't want it to sit there a month, 2, 3 months without managing it in any way, because it goes way down in the queue and then no one's going to look past the first couple of pages at anything that they search for, so they'll never find you. So I have to go through and delist those items periodically, relist them so they go back to the top of the queue. These are just a few of my strategies. If they're not selling, take it down. Maybe put it with a group of items. Try to sell that. It's a little bit of a different type of an approach. But yeah, you have to have whatever strategy seems to work best for you. But that's a part of, you'll learn that through doing some of your research. And the other part of it you'll learn just by doing. You'll just see what the market is like and you'll see what other people are doing.
Yeah, one thing it says in here is calculate costs, product shipping fees, taxes, and all that above. So all those things play a part in how you're going to price your item. I think one of the greatest mistakes that any business owner makes, and I've heard this over and over and over, read it and personally seen it, is undervaluing yourself. It costs money to do what you do. You have to pay for this stuff. So when someone's like, oh, that's really expensive, I'm like, well, you have no idea how much costs are included in this. If you have a good product and you're doing a good job, people will pay for it. And those that don't want to pay for it they'll go find out that what you're doing is good and they'll come back to you, or they won't. So
Yeah, my personality is such that this is probably my Achilles heel, honestly, this topic. Not valuing the things I have enough, not valuing my time enough, giving too good of deals to consignees when I really needed to charge more. I would be doing better financially if I was just a different person, right?
Yeah, but
and
that's
I'm trying
also something we
I'm
can
trying
learn,
to
right?
adapt. It takes time. It's not. Yeah, it will take. It just takes adjustment, and hearing feedback from people helps. And I'm just like, they're right. I need to make some changes. So that's a part of having a fluid business. You gotta make adjustments.
Yeah, dear listener, trust me. His friend Brandon's constantly saying, you need to charge more, dude.
Yeah.
So it is, I mean, I look at it as like a value service. It's that Matt, if you go to say, hey, Matt, can you sell this item for me? He's like, yeah, sure, I'll sell it for you. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get 60, he's going to get 40. In Matt's mind, he's like, oh, it's my friend. I'll give him, 90% and I'll take 10 just to cut. I'm like, no, dude, it's hard to do what you're doing, and you'd be selling something that I wouldn't, if I wanted to sell it and make more money, I would do it myself, but I can't.
Sure. Right.
So I'm like happy to pay for the fee of it, whatever. It's like going to a mechanic and then complaining about the cost of fixing your radiator. Do you know how to fix a radiator?
Nope.
There you go. All right. Number 6, build an inventory management system.
Yep. Yeah. And depending on what types of things that you sell, you may have different strategies. Everyone that I know who does the type of thing I do typically has generally the same type of strategy, which is that you assign some sort of code, an alphanumeric code, to each item, and that helps you with the storage of the item. So I try to not put the same code on more than 50 to 100 items in batches. Ideally, they're similar items, but they don't have to be the same type of item. But I want them all to fit in one tub. So if I have somebody that I'm consigning for and their initials are, I don't know, AB, that's their first and last name initials, I'll take 50 to 100 of their items, and this tub is AB1. So every item is AB1 that's in this tub, and I have the sticker on the outside of it. So when something sells, I get up in the morning, I go to check out what's sold. Here's this item from AB1 that's sold. I can print out a label. I can go to AB1 tub. There's only 50 to 100 items in there. It takes me less than 30 seconds to retrieve that item. I come back. And that's my system. Now, I don't have hundreds of thousands of things. I do have thousands of things. But, further than that, if I make sure I know which rack has the AB items versus some of the others, and I know exactly which rack to go to, and I just put that at the end of my titles in eBay, or if I don't have a room, I'll put it in the description. But usually in the titles, because even on my phone, if I look up what's sold on there, I can see that little code at the end of it, and I can just walk with my cell phone to where I'm going, look at the picture till I find it.
Yeah, excellent. All right, number 7. Now, I'm going to read this whole thing because I think this is really pertinent for anyone in any business. Market and promote your store. Use social media ads and SEO to reach more buyers, encourage reviews, and repeat customers. SEO, for those of you that do not know, is called search engine optimization. It is the hardest part of this whole thing. You probably won't understand it because even people that are experts in SEO don't understand it. It has to do with how the internets and the interwebs and the bots create algorithms to find your stuff. But you can manipulate it, and there are people out there that do it professionally. So that's what SEO means.
Yeah, and this is something I don't do much of at all. And the reason for that is that I'm operating within someone else's system, not just within Google, but I'm operating within the eBay world. eBay sets up how people are going to find items, and it has nothing to do with my name or my business or what I do, because sure, I've got some jewelry you might want to buy, so do 10 million other people that are selling on eBay. Well, how do they come to me? Well, it's about the keywords that I put in the title and the photos like that. If there's anything like SEO within eBay, it would have to do with the number of reviews, positive reviews you have, showing that you're a seller who's sold for a long time, sold lots of items, good reviews, that kind of thing. And then eventually people will start following your store so that when you put something up, maybe it alerts them, oh, hey, these sellers you're following have put up new items. They may or may not go check those out. I have repeat buyers because I have thousands of people that follow my store, one of my stores now. But I've been selling since 2000 on that store. So it's got 25 years of sales experience on that. It takes a long time. But if I had my own website, which I'm gravitating towards, I'm moving towards that, and you and I need to talk more on that as well, but that's something that I would need to work on SEO for. How do people come find my website? Am I leveraging my YouTube videos to push traffic over to there? Am I leveraging this podcast? Am I putting money out for marketing? I've not spent marketing dollars, but depending on what type of business you have, you're probably going to have to put a lot of time and or a good amount of money into it, because that's connected to how are you finding your buyer? How are you getting into that market? Yeah,
it's funny because I was thinking about this very thing. I went and looked up my brother's site. To be fair, I had not looked at it before, Sweet Swing Golf, and it's pretty cool. Like, I mean, he's done a really good job of building this, and I was thinking to myself, there are websites you could spend a couple $100 a year to build, a Wix or a Squarespace or any kind of website, but there are actually some pretty affordable website offerings out there. One called Carrd, K-A-R-R-D.
Nope, I think it's C-A-R-R-D.
C-A-R-R-D, sorry.
I'm going to be using this for one or two of mine coming up. I've already looked. If anything, they have too many options.
$20 a year.
Like, going through all of the different variations, all of them are very similar, but they have some different nuanced things. So, but I'm still I've narrowed it down, but I'll be pulling the trigger because there's something like $20 a year or less, down to as cheap as like $9 a year for one of these.
It's a static page. It's not going to get you.
It's like a landing page.
You might need to move over, but I would suggest starting with that rather than starting with a big presence, unless you already have, like I said, hundreds of thousands of items. Building a website can be very tricky. I have a website. In retrospect, I probably should have just done a simple little card site, but it's an interesting model, and that's where you really get into SEO. There's also Linktree, which is one where you could put all the links to the different shops that you have. So do some research on that is what we're trying to say when you talk about marketing and promoting your store, because it is internal in eBay, but also you can drive traffic to that store, which is kind of cool. All right.
Yeah.
Here's one that I know that Matt will agree with. I know that this is sort of very close to his heart. Provide great customer service. Do you agree or disagree with this, Matt?
No, I very much agree that you should do it. I'm not always the best at doing it, but I try. And no, it's important because the way you interact with your customers is what determines whether or not they're like, peace out, I didn't have a good interaction here, or I like your product, you shipped it well, quickly, you did what you said you were going to do, I like what you offer, I'm going to come back again, I'm going to check out the store. And then once you get repeat customers, it's just like me doing consignment here. If I had a bad interaction, bad customer service with the first couple of people that I work with, we live in a small community here, that would have got out, and sorry, no one, I've heard of you, like, I'm not going to give you a shot. But no, like, when you do well, 2 turns into 20 people in 2 or 3 months, which is what's happened to me. It's so much that I'm like, okay, slow down. I'm just one person,
Hey, hold the reins there, yeah. Well, and here's the interesting thing about customer service. I can't speak for everybody, but I am definitely one of these people. If I go in and get bad customer service, I, on principle alone, will write that place off. I find it absolutely ridiculous that a service, any kind of business that has poor customer service, person's rude to you, I'm like, I am the reason why you're here. I am bringing money into your operation, and if you treat me poorly, I'm not going to come back. I'm not going to use you. There's a place I've referenced many times on the show. It's called Sweetwater, and they just sell different electronic gear. They sell instruments, and they sell audio equipment, and you could buy anything that's on Sweetwater. You can go to a million different places to get it. They are a commodity broker. They sell, but what they really sell is unbelievable customer service. I am willing to spend 10% more on Sweetwater because I know that my man Nate Hudson at Sweetwater is going to send me an email, or it's going to, if I write him an email, it's going to come back to it. They're going to help me. It's not perfect. They don't do everything, but I know I can count on Sweetwater to do the right thing. So, of course I use Amazon, but Amazon is a giant behemoth monster. You can't talk to anybody at Amazon, and I'm not saying Amazon does everything poorly in terms of customer service, because sometimes it's pretty good. But I prefer the human aspect of Sweetwater because So if an item, and by the way, the items are pretty much priced the same. The only difference is free shipping or whatever. So
what's going to happen when you find out that person that you're interacting with is a chatbot?
I'll love him anyway. If Nate Hudson is a chatbot, then I'll still like Sweetwater because that is a well-programmed chatbot. All right, here we go. Monitor analytics and sales data, and this is more about keeping track of, and you talk about this a lot. They say use platform tools to track best-selling products, adjust strategies based on what's working and what's not. That seems very common sense, and you've talked about this ad infinitum, Matt, but what does that mean to you, monitor analytics and sales data?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing that all the time, mostly through the course of researching items that I'm potentially going to buy to resell, where I've already purchased them, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that. But I also keep tabs on, like I was kind of feeling like sales are low. When I look at the data, I'm like, oh yeah, like my listing impressions are down 34%. My sales are down 6.8%. Well, these are tools that pop up for you on your main seller dashboard within eBay. It does it for you. You don't have to run any. Now you can run other customized, queries and different charts and all kinds of stuff. But it's good to see, and you start thinking, well, I wonder what it is. Is it the type of time of day or the day that I'm listing this stuff? Do I find I get more sales when I'm always running auctions simultaneously with having buy it nows? Is there should I space it out a few days? You can start to figure it out. By the way, also, there's a thing called TerraPeak, which I don't know if it's a separate program or if it's just some other add-on thing you can purchase through eBay that can get even more detailed, all kinds of different types of customized charts and data that you can run and get and analyze through there. I don't use that stuff, not because it doesn't have value, but the time it takes to learn to use that stuff, plus you're paying more money. To me, I didn't want to spend more time and pay more money to get basically the same type of information I can get just by looking at sales. Looking at sales data, what things have sold in real time in the last 90 days is about the most useful. I would say, aside from eBay letting me access more people than any other platform, that is in line with the most valuable thing about eBay. And you want to know why? If you go to a pawn shop, coin shop, auction house, and you bring something in to see if they want to buy it, do you know what they're doing to determine what they are going to offer you? They're looking at eBay sold prices. Everyone's doing the exact same thing. It's not just something I do or because I'm on eBay. Everybody does it because there's such a high volume of sales, and those are more accurate than like high-end auction house sales, because you're talking about a really niche group of affluent people, most likely, that are buying these and paying lots of money for it. That's not the average person. What's it selling for on eBay today? Not what are people asking. People can ask, oh, well, they're at this listed for $2,000. Well, yeah, the last one, the average of sales is about $150. So it's not $2,000. It's worth about $150.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point about the scale of eBay is so large that they can gather data. I mean, one of the things, if you've paid attention to the world of technology, what these companies are paying for more than anything else, while they're spying going on all this, is to collect data. They want data because data drives you in the direction that you need to go. It's one of those things where they say that you can feel like something's a certain thing, but when you look at the data, you're like, oh, no, that's wrong. So using data don't lie. I mean, you can manipulate it and thing, but if you know that 100 customers have bought this on this day at this time, you're pretty sure bet that that's the thing you should be doing and posting at that time. So data is king for sure.
Yeah.
All right, last one here before we head out into the new world is, and I think this is just kind of goes without saying, but I'm going to read it anyway. Keep learning and scaling. So stay updated on market trends and platform changes. Sounds like what Matt talks about every week. And reinvent profits into expanding product lines or scaling marketing. And I think that is a really good point.
This is the first one that I would say I disagree with. I would say, so what was it? Say it one more time so I can hear it correctly.
Reinvest profits into expanding product lines or scaling marketing?
I think reinvesting, if you want your business to continue happening, if you want to continue to have a business in a year from now, you do need to reinvest some of your money if only to buy more product, right? Because this is a simple business. You buy product, you sell it, you take some of that money, you use the money you used initially, you buy 2 more things this time, you sell that, rinse and repeat, you build up your inventory, you make more money. But the idea of scaling your business, that's where I disagree. I don't think you have to scale your business. We live in a culture and a society that tells you your success, your worth to some degree is in your, and it builds into your identity, unfortunately, is predicated upon how successful you are in business. And one of the major litmus tests for how successful we think people are is, well, do you have 1 store or do you have 3 stores? Or do you have 10 stores? Are you in other states too? Like, it's almost like you have to build this enterprise. And that is just our economy built upon capitalism that is driving that, right? Because the powers that be, everyone out there, they want you to make more money because other people, like the more money you have, the more money people can get from you. So
how much more money you can spend. So
how much more money you can spend on this. So the idea of scaling is entirely based on what you want out of your business and what's driving you. If you build up a little bit of a business, even if it's not full-time, but let's say it is full-time, and it's meeting your needs, you're able to enjoy your family more, you have more flexibility, you're in charge of your own schedule, and you're paying your bills, that's enough. For some people, I want people to hear from me that I think that should be enough for more people than it is. We don't just need to be chasing the dollar all the time. And I know personally multiple business owners who did get into that rat race, who got into the whole, I'm supposed to scale, I'm supposed to open another store. And you dramatically increase the stress, you dramatically increase the risks. And at the end of the day, some of these people are saying, I really, remember when I had that 1 store? I loved that. I wish I had never opened a second, third, 10th store.
Mm-hmm.
I want
the ROI is not that much greater a lot of times.
Yeah, you might go from making $200,000 or $100,000 in a year, let's say, gross, to making $2 million, and then you, at the end of the day, you're only bringing home like maybe 10, 15, 20 grand more than you did before. Your gross sales are enormous, but your costs and your stress, and you look at it and you're like, man, was that worth it? I don't know.
No.
So
I
would
agree
just
with
say,
you 100% on this
don't
one.
feel like you have to scale to be successful, to be content and happy. You can be small potatoes, a small fish in a small pond, in a big pond like I am. That's okay. That's okay.
I would say the one caveat I would give to that is to constantly assess where you are. That is a really important thing, is to be looking at saying, because there could be an opportunity that comes along that won't require that much more, but could be really good for your business model or whatever. So, but I 100% agree with you.
Are you proud of me, by the way? Because what I'm doing is I'm essentially echoing back things you've told me recently. Like, hey, maybe the next step is not to add these other 4 things, maybe scaling back a bit and repositioning, which is, without getting all the details, is kind of what I'm doing with my work right now. And I got to say, the idea of not adding these other pressures and things kind of feels nice. Now, I'm not seeing the benefits financially from this pivot yet, but the hope is that I will. But
you will.
I think it's
you
good.
will, and I think that there is this tendency to say, oh, well, if a little is good, more is better. And I completely agree with you that you just have to assess, and you have to look at it and say, is this valuable or not? Do we need to scale this to, 10 people? Or, I have a little company and I have 2 other people that work with me. We could scale it to make it a lot bigger, and we'd probably make a lot more money as a company, but we probably would add a significant amount of stress to our life. So I completely agree with you. All right, Matt.
Yeah.
That is the end of episode 100. I feel there should be like
confetti. I wish I had like a pull string here where I could like let it rain down on me.
I think I could do that. I think I can add that in the post edit.
Fantastic.
We will be back with a brand new show next week. Don't worry, folks. But as I said, we are going to be doing some shifting around and moving stuff, trying to make all our lives a little bit easier. We hope that you are learning. Remember, tell a friend. It helps us out, especially now with the YouTube presence. If you're on YouTube, let people know. Other resellers, comment. We love it when you comment.
It's the same name, What Sold. It's just What Sold is the name of the YouTube channel. It's very
What
easy.
Sold, and sometimes it will be about What Sold, and sometimes it will be about Matt's El Luchador costume. All right, that is all the time that we have for today. We're grateful for you guys. We're glad you're on this journey with us, and we look forward to being back with you next week or real soon.
Take care.